If you like this video, make sure to visit our Vimeo page and follow us to get the latest update.
Hi everyone, good evening. Hi Gansham, George, Gopal, Suresh, Vishal.
Hi Ganesh, Vishal here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi Ganesh.
Good evening. Yeah, start the session. Okay. So I interacted with some of you in the last demo session. Okay. So we'll again go through. So so today will be our first session. Okay. We'll kind of deep dive into the BW and HANA. Okay. We'll start with the basic BW first. Okay. Then we'll understand how HANA is changing BW in a large way. Okay. So so to make sure, like you understand the advanced features of BW on HANA, first we need to understand basics of BW. What is BW and all. Okay. So any questions before we start? Anyone? You can feel free to unmute yourself and ask me. Yeah. Well, yeah. Go on. Yeah. Any questions? Okay, then if you don't have any questions, I'll keep you on mute. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask me for any questions. So you can also use the chat room. Okay, Vishal, let me unmute you. Okay, quick 1 minute. Yes, Vishal, please go on.
Hey, Ganesh, sorry. So I was just asking you to unmute. Actually, I just want to give a small introduction and the expectation. I may email you, talk you directly if don't want to take a lot of time. Actually, I'm from basic background and I do have some knowledge of BW. But I do want to learn the HANA from the BW perspective as well, because we monitor and administer the HANA part, and we are gonna have some project as well. But in addition to that, do I get chance to learn some administration perspective? I'm not going to disturb your course material or anything, but can I ask you some other question from the administration perspective, like HANA, maybe backup recovery question, replication question, DR recovery, all those things?
But anything which I have been working, then I would be glad to help assist you. But I'll be very honest with you. So I'm not an administrator guy anytime. So I'm completely into the data warehousing, reporting,
Okay.
ETL. So you ask me anything about data services extraction or business objects reporting or BW data modeling, ABAP programming. So then I'll be able to help you, but not much on the administration.
Okay. What about when I get the server to practice? Can I practice some administration things, like try out some other things in addition to what you give?
Okay, so I think that should be pretty much possible. You'll have the BW on HANA landscape. So just get in touch with them, so they will help you with giving you additional privileges for
Okay.
you. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
But
Yeah.
wherever it's applicable, which I can help you in terms of administration, I will for sure discuss.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
And you can anytime you can stop me and ask me. If I know, I'll be glad to help you and answer you. If not, no, I'll tell you that I
Yep.
don't know.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Vishal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else from anyone? Maybe Suresh, George, Gansham, Gopal Krishnan. Do you want me to unmute you? Gopal, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Okay, so let's quickly start with our BW on HANA. I'll quickly in next 5-10 minutes I'll go through what we have discussed in the demo. Okay, so that we don't get disconnected from the previous topic. Consider this is our first session. So as long as you are following from today, then you should be good. So SAP BW on HANA. What does it stand for? Business Warehouse on HANA. HANA is nothing but a database. Okay, we'll talk more about HANA in the coming sessions. Now, what is a business warehouse? Why do we require a business warehouse? Then what is HANA? Well, BW can run on other databases, etc. Let's talk about it. So business warehouse or BW, it's nothing but a data warehousing product from SAP. Okay, it's a data warehouse product from SAP. So again, what is data warehouse, right? So data warehouse in simple words, okay, let's not go through all bookish definitions and all. Let's keep it simple for our understanding. Data warehousing is nothing but reporting, okay? It's not just simple reporting. We'll understand what is the complexity of data warehouse. But whatever we do in data warehouse, the end product is analytical reporting or business intelligence. So you derive some meaningful information from your data warehouse for your business so that the key stakeholders can take appropriate decisions for their business. Okay, so what is BW? BW is a reporting solution in simple words. Okay, there are a lot of things which you can do in BW, just not a reporting tool, but for our convenience, for simplicity's sake, so understand that BW is a data warehousing product, and whatever we do in BW is ultimate goal is for reporting. Okay. Now, why do we need BW? Why can't we simply do reporting in our transactional system? So that's what we discussed in the last session, right? Let's quickly go through that history about why do you need a data warehouse, why you can't do reporting on a transactional system. And now we can also talk about HANA, how HANA is changing those architectures, and now why we can do reporting on a transactional system and why not in the earlier times. So before even we go there, let's quickly understand what are the versions in BW. Okay, so it started with, I'm talking about the major versions 2.0. Okay, it stands for SAP Business Information Warehouse. Okay, somehow one of the initial release or the most successful release from SAP, one of the first successful releases BIW 2.0. Okay, then came the major release. That's where the BW became very popular. That is SAP BW 3.5. Okay, the next release is 3.5. There are a lot of improvements in the product, and also the product is renamed from Business Information Warehouse to Business Warehouse. Okay, BW 3.5. Then came the next release, SAP BI 7.0. Again, the product is improved, a lot of new features added, and again the product is renamed. So Business Intelligence. Then at the same time, SAP acquired a company called Business Objects. So this Business Objects is more about the BI part, it's a reporting part, whereas BW is more about data warehousing. So that's why the BI part, business intelligence, the business objects is renamed business objects BI, and this product is again renamed back to BW. So we have versions like SAP BW 7.3, 7.4, and now 7.5. The product is again renamed back to SAP Business Warehouse. Okay, and starting from version 7.3, it can run on any database including HANA. Okay, HANA is a database. If you want to use HANA as a database for BW, the minimum version required is BW 7.3. But of course, it is tightly coupled and compatible with 7.5 version of BW. Okay, so this can run on HANA. Remember, you can still go ahead and use the BW application on traditional databases as well, like Oracle DB to Teradata. You can install your BW 7.3, 7.4, 7.5 versions of BW on any database, including HANA. Okay. Now there is a new release, which is a new version released by SAP, that is SAP BW for HANA. Okay. So this is exclusively for HANA, can run only on HANA database. Okay, so this is exclusively for HANA. So all the BW application layer code, okay, which is not required for HANA, which was initially developed for other databases, that is removed from the BW application layer, and this is not on the NetWeaver platform. It's not on a NetWeaver platform, and this is exclusively for HANA. So this version of BW for HANA cannot run on any other databases except HANA. Okay, so this is the version history. So please remember the version history, very important. Most of the landscapes nowadays are moved to BI 7.0 and above, and this is released not more than 1.5 months or 2 months. Okay, so please remember when you speak about BW. Now, the next question is, does it need a separate license? Which one you mean, Vishal? So here, any of the products, okay, any of the products, yeah, go on.
I mean, do we need to buy a separate license than a NetWeaver for BW for HANA?
So if you're already running on BW 7.5, you can upgrade to BW for HANA, okay? And obviously HANA is a separate license and BW is a separate license.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Now another question: what is NetWeaver? Okay. So NetWeaver is nothing but the platform on which the SAP applications like ECC, the SAP applications are developed. Okay. So this all, starting with BI 7 and 7.3, these are developed in the NetWeaver platform. NW stands for NetWeaver. Okay. Now, whereas the BW for HANA is not a NetWeaver platform. Okay. So this is the version history. Now, let's quickly understand what is a transactional system, what is a data warehousing system, etc. So in every environment, for every business, you'll have two types of systems. One is transactional, one is data warehouse. So you have OLTP, it's nothing but a transactional system, online transaction processing system. So any system which is taking care of your company's day-to-day business process, that is an OLTP system. Quickly ping me what are the transactional systems you are aware of. Quickly. So let me repeat the definition of OLTP. Any system which is taking care of your company's day-to-day business process. Forget about SAP or non-SAP, anything. So you go to a ATM to withdraw some money. So that ATM machine is a OLTP system. Okay. So let's say, for example, you go to a bank and let's say you are to to log in your number, meaning you are taking a ticket for the queue. So even that is a transactional system. So your payroll gets generated, your money is getting credited to your system. So all that is your OLTP. Okay. So yeah. So like you said, warehouse management system. Okay. Yeah. So banking, yeah, all those are transactional systems. Yeah, thank you. Now warehouse management, yeah, that's also an OLTP system. Okay, not the data warehouse, but the regular warehouse. So in a transactional system, what happens every time a business process runs, the data is generated. Okay, so um, so I think you're aware of what is an OLTP. So you have a database which stores that particular data. Now in a transactional system, what happens? There are so many business transactions happening every day, every second. There's a lot of data generated and that data is being constantly updated, inserted, and even sometimes read in the database. Okay, so your transactional system, typically you'll have a huge number of read and write operations. Okay, now the priority of the OLTP system is to handle your business transaction, so instantly update your data. So as in the transactional system, you have a huge number of write operations, that means inserts, updates, deletes, etc. Then the way how you design your data model in your OLTP system, we call it as a normalized schema. Okay, so we follow a normalized schema in your transactional system. So basically you split your data into more number of tables. You also reduce the redundancy of data. So this way you are parallelly, as you store the information in multiple tables, you are parallelly updating the tables, thereby your write performance is efficient. So here you will have more number of tables, and obviously that will lead to more joins if you want to read the data. But here the write performance is efficient. Now on the other hand, or let's say for example, if you try to do reporting on top of this. So okay, quick question. So duration of the class would be, we'll have 1.5 hour session for today, and from tomorrow it will be a 2.5 hour session. Okay, yeah. So on your OLTP you'll have efficient write performance. Now when you try to run your reports on top of your OLTP, okay, so whenever you try to run your reports, let's say I want to see what is my sales by product for the last 1 year. So that is fetching, that report requires huge amount of data from your OLTP. So such kind of huge amount of data with these many joins are not good in terms of performance in the transactional system. Why? Because here you have more tables, and when you join those huge tables, the read operation, the join operation is not at all efficient. So usually, typically, if you do reporting on the OLTP system, the reporting performance is very bad. So we'll talk about HANA, how it can help. That's a different story. But the regular databases, reporting is very bad. So that's why people started using a different system for reporting, and not to do more reporting on the transactional system. Okay, so that's where the concept of your data warehouse will come into picture. Okay, so data warehouse. So what we do in the data warehouse is, you again bring the data whatever you have in the OLTP and store it in a different format which is efficient for reporting. Okay, here also you have a database. Okay, or you can use the same schema of the database. Okay, but what do? You denormalize the data here. So you are eliminating the joins between large tables. So denormalized schema. What is denormalization? So you keep all the transactional data, that is the data which is huge, in a central table, and then connect with smaller master data tables. So that way you are eliminating the joins between large tables. So that's how you get efficient read performance. Okay, so that's how your reporting is faster. So in a data warehouse, most of the operations are read operations. Okay, one time you load the data during the night, and then after that you keep on running your reports. You are reading the data. So your data warehousing system would be built to keep reporting performance optimal. Your transactional system would be built to keep to handle the business transactions optimal. Okay, so your data warehouse is built for reporting, and the OLTP system is built for handling in the business transactions. Now there is no data generated in your data warehouse. All the data is there in the OLTP. Whenever a business transaction happens, data is generated, right? So now if you want to do that reporting, you have to first bring that data into your data warehouse. Okay, so this basically usually happens using batch jobs. Okay, so that process is called as ETL. ETL meaning extract, transform, load. What does ETL stands for? Extract, transform, and load. Extract the data from the source system or OLTP system. Transform. Apply your business logic. See, many times the report, to build your report, you need to apply a lot of business logic, right? So you transform the data to make sure your data is reporting compatible. If you are bringing data from multiple systems, you homogenize the data, convert the data into single unified format, and load your data. So that is called ETL. So ETL is a process from which using which you are bringing the data from your transactional systems to your data warehouse. Okay, and then you build your data models. Your data would be spread across in multiple places. You have actuals data in one place, shipment data, billing data, or sales order information, planning data in separate tables. So you combine and build some data model so that your reporting is flexible. Okay. So the next question is, do you we do write the data on a scheduled basis in data warehouse? Yes. So we can these data loads would be scheduled usually every day. Okay. So at the end of the business hours, your data will start, the ETL jobs will start extracting data from your OLTP and update your data warehouse. Okay. So then you have to build your data models, and then that data will be represented in the reports. So that's the reporting part. So what is reporting? So you have to build different type of reports, like ad hoc reports, canned reports, dashboards. Like if one user would like to interact with the report, so you click on a button, the report layout should change. You select a different metric, accordingly the metric value should be displayed. So different kinds of reporting exist. So these are the three parts of your data warehouse: ETL, data modeling, and reporting. Now BW is one product. Okay, BW is one of the product which has all these features. It has the ETL, it has modeling techniques, and it has its own reporting techniques. Okay, so as a part of this course, we will be learning all the three aspects of BW: ETL, modeling, and reporting. Okay, so where does a BW stand? So this is your place of your BW. Now, if the underlying database is HANA, then that is BW on HANA. Okay, if like I said, you can your BW can even run on other databases like Oracle or DB2. Okay, then that is a regular BW version. Now, it's not just that you replace the database of BW with HANA and you call it as BW on HANA, but because of HANA, there is a lot of improvements on the BW product, which we'll talk about it. Okay, in the coming sessions, we'll learn more about it. So in a transactional system, sorry, in any business environment, there are n number of transactional systems. Okay, let's say for example, you have an SAP ERP, that is SAP ECC or S4 HANA or something like that. You have an ERP system like ECC, or let's say you have a CRM system, let's say Siebel CRM. Now there is a planning tool, like for demand planning. There is a tool, for example, the business has a tool called SAS. Then there is some customer care call center related software, something like Genesis. So now for geolocation, the location based analysis, there is some tool called Alteryx. So like this, nowadays every company has many tools, right? Many applications. So you have your transactional data spread across all these systems. Now you will maintain one warehouse system. So let's say now we are using our BW, SAP BW. Okay. So for our sake, this database is anything. Okay. So some XDB or HANA. So you will maintain a central data warehouse where data will be extracted from all these transaction systems, and you keep it here. So this data would be extracted on a scheduled basis every day, and the data is stored in your warehouse. For any reporting requirement, now you don't need to depend on your transaction system. All your enterprise reporting or analytics will happen on your data warehouse. One truth of information. You don't need to depend on multiple systems for your reporting data. Okay. So what is the difference between NetWeaver and ECC? Okay. So it's like, all these are products. Okay. Let's say SAP ECC is nothing but a ERP system. So where you have your FI module, then you have HR, plant management, quality management, then material management, sales and distribution, purchasing. So it's an ERP tool. Now this application is built on the NetWeaver platform. So to build these applications, what SAP did is they built a common platform. Okay. See, for most of the applications, many things would be similar, right? For example, how an application has to connect with a different system, how to create a table, how to do the administration of the data of the system. So all those common things, they have built a platform that is called NetWeaver. On top of that NetWeaver, these applications are built like ECC, CRM, SRM, BPC, BW. Okay. So that is the difference between ECC and NetWeaver. Okay, is that clear, Venkat? Yeah. Now, so you extract the data from all these transactional systems and keep it in your BW. So this is the ETL process. You can use the SAP BW ETL techniques, okay, or you can even use some third-party ETL tools. Now, for example, data services. This is an SAP tool, SAP Business Objects Data Services. So in scenarios where the BW product doesn't have proper connectivity to legacy systems, like for example, the BW system don't have proper interfaces to connect to this Alteryx, then we can make use of tools like BODS. BODS is Business Objects Data Services, which is an ETL tool. This tool is specifically built for the ETL purpose. So we can also use BODS to bring the data to BW. Okay, so this is how the architecture looks like. Like, these are your OLTP systems. Now this is your BW. Now any system from which you are bringing the data to BW, from which you are sourcing the data to BW, these are called source systems. Okay, what is a source system? This is the first keyword word you have to remember in BW. Source system. So any system which acts as a source of data BW is called source system. Let's say you are extracting data from SAP CRM to BW, then CRM should be connected as a source system to BW. You are extracting data from SAP BPC, then BPC is called as a source system to BW. Sometimes you extract the data from BW to BW itself. So then BW will be connected as a source system to BW. Now, quickly let's see how do we navigate on the BW application. Okay, what are some of the common terminologies which we use, etc. Okay, so basically to connect to any SAP applications, we use something called SAP GUI. Okay, so we will have an SAP GUI installed. This is how it looks like. So if you go to start all programs, then you will have SAP frontend, and then here you will find SAP logon. So when you open the logon pad, you will have the system connections, and then you can connect to the server. But as a part of this training, what we'll do is we'll provide you a remote desktop connection, so that you don't need to bother about the installations, connectivity, all that. All you need to have is your internet connection. Okay, so I have a question: when BW system will be a source system? Yeah, okay, I'll explain that. So before I come to that, so as a part of this training server, what we'll do is we'll provide you a remote desktop connection. So you'll get an email attachment, okay, from your training coordinator. When you just with this RDP file as an attachment, just download it and click on connect. It will ask you for a user ID and password. Now just give that ID and password, then you will be connected to a remote desktop. Okay, so everyone will have their own credentials. Now this server can be connected 24/7. I mean, you can connect up to 40 to 50 people. There is no. It's a good configuration. Parallelly, for 30 to 40 people can easily connect to the server, and usually at a time, not more than five or six people will be, in the server. Okay, so the servers are good configuration, so don't worry about that. Now, once you are in the remote desktop connection, okay, once you are in the remote desktop server, so you already have this logon pad installed. Okay, you don't need to install. If it is directly, if you don't have the RDP connection, then we have to install the SAP logon pad. Then through that we'll connect to the BW server. Okay, so you can go through this path, start all programs, SAP frontend, and here you have SAP logon. Okay, you can create a shortcut, and you can create a shortcut on your desktop. So just simply double click that. So what is SAP logon? So this is the front-end application using which we are connecting to which you can connect to any SAP application server. Like for example, if you want to connect to SAP ECC or SAP CRM, SAP BPC, SAP GRC, BW, this is a front-end application which has to be installed on our computers. Okay, like for example, if I want to connect to a SQL Server database, I install something called SQL Server Management Console or something, right? So if I go to start all programs, here I have SQL Server. So this one, yeah, sorry, this one, SQL Server Management Studio. So using this front-end application, I'm connecting to the database. Likewise, this is the front-end application using which I'm connecting to the BW application server. Okay, so the end users need not install this. They can access the reports through the web, so through the browser. So we'll talk about that later, how the portal connections and all. So here there are two systems already configured in the logon pad. So one is your ECC, that is your ERP system, and this is your BW. Okay, so if you want to see the server details, like on which host it is installed, etc., you can just select any server here and then click on the edit button. So this is the host, this is the computer where the BW application server is installed. Okay, this is the system ID and instance numbers related to the installation parameters. Likewise, I can if you go to ECC, you can see this is a different host where the ECC is installed. Now to connect to this SAP applications, I mean, if you're already an SAP guy, this is all basics, but for participants who are not from the SAP background, so to connect your SAP application, quickly can you ping me who is not from SAP background? Quickly in the chat room. So to connect with this any application server, just simply double click. Okay, so double click and then you get the logon window. Okay, no problem. Thank you. So okay, that's fine, Venkat. That's absolutely fine. So then now let me go to the question from Gopal, that when a BW system will be source system. Okay, now once you bring the data to BW, okay, so what we do is, let's say for example, this is your BW system. So first I brought the data from my source system and kept it in the first layer. Okay, so I call this as, let's say for example, foundation layer. Okay, now I want to extract, you have data, let's say the sales data is here. Similarly, my shipment data is here. Okay, so shipment data. Now I want to combine this data and store in another layer within my BW. Let's say I want to integrate my sales plus shipment. Okay, then what I have to do, I have to combine the data from these two places into here. So that means what I'm doing, I'm loading the data from BW to BW source to BW target itself. So in this case, in order to make this data load happen, the BW system will be connected as a source system to BW itself. Okay, so this is one case. Then there are other scenarios. Let's say for example, I have a legacy, I mean there is an old BW system. Now we have installed a new BW system. Now the history data I want to load from all the history data which has been loaded for the past years. I want to load it from the old BW system to new BW system. Then also I have to connect a BW as a source system to BW as a target. Okay, clear? Does that answer your question? Okay, yeah, thank you. So now going back, so this is how the login window will come. Okay, now let me give some user ID and password. So everyone has their own user ID and password, and the server can allow as many parallel connections as possible. So you need not worry about that. Now this is the initial screen of your any SAP NetWeaver applications which are built on the NetWeaver platform. Okay, so HANA is not a NetWeaver platform. Okay, NetWeaver tool. So once you are in the initial screen, if you want to navigate from this screen to any other screen, you have to use a concept called T code, transaction code. Some codes given by SAP using which you navigate to other screens. So for example, in BW, the main transaction code, T code or transaction code, the codes given by SAP for easy navigation between screens. Okay, so from your initial screen, you want to navigate to the most important screen in BW, that is data warehouse workbench. The T code is RSA1. Okay, so this is the T code using which we will be navigating. Okay, sorry, I have some question. So it will be the same with loading from BW to HANA. Yeah. So even in case of BW on HANA, it's the same landscape. Okay. So RSA1 is the T code, okay, using which you will be navigating to the data warehouse workbench. So now, if I want to know on which database this BW application server is installed, whether it is HANA or not, you can go to System, Status. Here you can find the database system HDB. HDB stands for HANA database. Okay, so this BW application is connected to HANA database. The HANA in HANA the data is stored. So basically BW is more like it's just a application layer. It doesn't store any data. All the data is there in the underlying database. So this is the host, the host computer where the HANA database is installed. This is the schema. This is the database schema where all the BW data is stored. Okay. Now, if you want to see the product version and all, you can see it here. So we are running on the NetWeaver 7.5 version. This is the system time. So time zone, etc. Now here I want to navigate to the BW data warehousing workbench screen. So give the T code RSA1. Okay. Now just type the T code and press enter. So it's asking for documentation. I will say don't show this question again. Click on no. Okay. Now this is the most important screen which we use in BW, data warehousing workbench modeling. So this is where we create most of the BW related objects. The first object here we call it as info objects. Now something in order to build a house, what do? We start with bricks, right? Big bricks. They are the foundation for your house, or So likewise, your data warehouse will be built. The BW data warehousing solution is built on info objects. So this is your first term related to your BW. Info object. So your basic business evaluation object in BW, that is called info object. These info objects are of two types. Don't bother about the definition. I'll simplify this. So these info objects are of two types. One is characteristics, and next one is a key figure. So if you're already from other data warehousing terminology, just a terminology change. So key figures are nothing but your measurable data, measures. In other words, we call it as measures, measurable data, quantifiable information. Quickly, can you give some examples of a key figure? I'll give some, for example, salary. See, something you can measure, which you can quantify. Okay, sales, that's right. Any others? Can you quickly ping me? What are the key figures which you can think of? Numerical data on which you do your arithmetical operations. Okay, yeah, account balance. No, products is not a key figure. Okay. The count of products is how many products you have, the product count, that is a key figure. Okay. So, like for example, head count, number of employees. In simple words, any number on which you do your arithmetical operations. For example, what is the price of the product? That is a key figure, product price. How much discount you are getting? Okay. What is the total amount which you are paying for your order? Then, what is your sales tax? What is the total stock in the warehouse? Okay. So, how much is my revenue? So product quantity, cost of the item. Okay. Yes, all these are your key figures, measurable data, anything on which you do your arithmetical operation, quantifiable information. Let's say for example, If I say my salary is 2000 per month, 2000 USD per month. Now if I ask you how much I get for an year, what do? You multiply 2000 into 12, right? So you're doing an arithmetical operation. So salary is a key figure. So gross salary, net salary, tax, all those are your key figures. Now anything else apart from the key figure is a characteristic. For example, customer name, the customer country, let's say product size, product color, okay, transaction ID, product weight. Take anything else, that is a characteristic. So for example, so how about employee ID? Yeah, product name, that's right, is a characteristic. So let's say my employee ID is so 627611. So what is this? This is an characteristic or key figure? Yeah. So characteristic is nothing but a dimension. Yes, you are right. Okay, so it's just a different terminology where people use in from BW to other systems. Yeah, characteristics are nothing but dimensions. Now key figures are nothing but your measures in BW. Yeah. So employee ID is a characteristic, not a key figure. Okay. Because you don't multiply two employee IDs, or you don't divide an employee ID, right? So you don't do any arithmetical operations. That is a characteristic. It's not a key figure. So these are your info objects. So to build anything in BW, it starts with info objects. If I want to store a data in a table, first you have to build your info objects, and using that info objects you have to build a table. So info object is the connecting block for your entire data warehousing system in BW. So let's see quickly how to create info objects in BW. Okay. Today session we'll see how to create info objects in BW. So first of all, before you create info objects, you have to create something called info area. That is the first step you have to do. Then you have to create info object catalog. Okay. Then you have to create info objects. So what is info area? So if you go to BW, okay, let me just, I think I have reached the ideal time, so let me connect again. So info area is nothing but folder in BW. Okay, so why do we use folders in our computer? Let's say for example, to organize your information, isn't it? The same way, okay, the same way in BW, anything you store, you organize the data with the help of info objects. Sorry, info area. Like for example, so another question, characteristics and key figures both are called as info objects. Yes. So these two combine, characteristics and key figures, we call it as info object. Okay. Like we say, let's say human, male and female, something like that. Okay. But ultimately it's a info object. So what is an info area? Info area is nothing but folder in BW. Okay. Why do you use folder? To organize your objects and for security. Okay. Now there will be once you start using your BW, then you are extracting lot of data. You're extracting data related to your sales. You're extracting data related to your purchasing, finance, HR. You're creating lot of objects. You don't dump all that in one place, right? It would be very unorganized. If you want to search anything, it would be very tough. So that's where you create info areas. You organize your information. Okay, so you create info areas and you organize your information. So these are your info areas. So let's say I create one info area for, let's say, OTC, order to cash sales. Then another info area for RTC, purchasing. Now a purchasing manager, for him I'll not give access to the other info area. So that info area also will also help you for the security. Or let's say I'll create separate info areas for the region. Let's say my company's business is spread across the globe. I have users from Europe, from Americas, and then I have it from Asia Pacific. For a sales manager from Europe, I should not give him authorization to see the US data, America's data. I can restrict the data. I can restrict the security at the info area level itself. So that is another advantage of an info area. Security will be even more complex, which we'll talk about it in the coming sessions. But info area is nothing but folder in BW. It serves two purposes: to organize your objects as well as to manage the security. Then once you create an info area, the next thing what you do is you create some catalog. So the general meaning of a catalog, right? Menu. So within an info area, if you have too many objects, you can quickly browse through those objects through a menu. So it's like a menu kind of thing. So minimum create one catalog for characteristics, dimensions, and create another catalog for key figures. So that is the minimum which you create. You can create as many as you want. It's just like, structuring your data in a menu format. Then the next step, you create your info objects. Okay. So now let me log into SAP ECC and then navigate you to a table. So before we even create these info objects, let's navigate to ECC and understand how to browse through a table, etc. Okay. So what is my ECC? SAP ECC or S4 HANA, all that. So it's an ERP system. ERP by SAP. So where you have your business areas which handles your MM, FI, HR, SD, all that, plant maintenance, quality management, etc. So in ECC there is a standard table which stores the product information, the material master data. The table name is MERA. Okay, so this is the material master data table. What is master data? The data which doesn't change very frequently. So your product information, your customer information, vendor information, company information. This is your master data, right? So now this is my BW. How I know that this is a BW system? So first of all, I can look into the system ID. Every system will have its own ID. So from the system ID, I can differentiate that. Okay, this is not. This is a different system. So here you can see the system ID is HN1. This is my BW. Now let me connect to ECC. So same way, login is same thing. Okay. So now I'm logging into ECC. So basically, you will have its own login credentials, but usually in the training server, the same ID and password would be given to both ECC and BW. Now, if I want to access this table, I want to see the table structure and then access the data quickly. I want to preview some data. So you have a different T code. To move from one screen to other screen, you have different codes. So the T code for to access any table information is S11. Okay, so this is a T code for, we call this as data dictionary. You can do the DDL statement, DDL thing here in the T code, data dictionary. And before you enter the T code, okay, you have to give a prefix /n or /o. So /n, you have to give a prefix. If you give a /n as a prefix, the T code will open in the same window. If you say /o, if you do /o, the T code will open in a new window. Okay, like, you know, let's say for example you opened a browser, you are in Gmail. Okay, then if you in the address bar, instead of Gmail you type Facebook, what will happen? So Gmail will be closed and Facebook will open, right? So that is /n. If you use the next new tab, then you will have both Gmail and Facebook. So that is /o. Okay, so I mean, for people who are not from SAP background, this all might be new. For others, they are all basics. If you are already from SAP background, these are all basics, right? So here I'll give the T code /n S11. Now this is a database table. These are the standard application tables, meaning when you when the SAP application server is installed, ECC installed, these tables are already created. This is a standard table in SAP ECC, MERA. So choose a radio button database table, give the table a MERA, click on display. Now this is the primary key of the table, METNR, material number. This is the data type and length. So here you can see these are the key fields, primary key. The data type and length is char 18. Then there are other fields. There are total 263 fields. If I want to see the data from this table, click on contents. So I want to see the number of entries in the table. Just click on the number of entries. It will fire a query on the database, select count star from MERA. So this is how you get the result. Okay. Now I want to see some 50 records. So I'll keep the maximum number of 50 here and then click on display. It will do you can see a data preview. Okay. Now most of my reports would require the product information, material information. I want the material master data to be low. I want to extract the material master data information to BW. I want to extract the data from MERA to BW. Okay. So then if I want to extract this data to BW, first of all in BW you have to store somewhere, right? So you have to store it in some database tables. So in BW we don't directly create tables. Everything we manage with the help of info objects. So now let's create info objects which are required to store the material master data. Okay. Any questions before we proceed? Yeah. So there are two keys. One is the material number itself, the product, and this is a standard field, primary key in most of the SAP tables. This is called client. Let's say for example now I have logged into the client 800. The same application server, you can use it for one for the configuration and one for the development. So basically you can ignore that. You can ignore this field MEA entity. Okay, it's just a client. So I would say only material number is the primary key. Okay, but if you technically if you see, these two are the key fields of this table. Okay, so before we create info objects, let's take a quick break. Okay, so we'll connect back in 10 minutes. Okay, so be on the same meeting link. After 10 minutes, I'll show you how to create info objects in BW, and then we'll understand how to create an info area, catalog, info objects, how to activate them, what tables are created, etc. Okay, so now we discussed that if I want to bring this MERA, material information, to BW, first of all, what I require, I need some table to store that. And basically we don't directly create tables in BW, we manage we manage them through the info objects. So my first step is to create the info objects for material. So before I create info objects, let me create an info area and then create an info object catalog. Okay, so if I want to create an info area, let me log into the RDP once again. So go to BW. How I know that this is ECC? I can see the system ID. Okay. Now let me go to BW in the RSA1T code in the data warehousing workbench. Okay. First go to info objects. Under info objects, so these are all your info areas. Okay. Let me create one info area for our training. So right click on this top menu. Okay. Where you see the info objects, right click and then click on create info area. Okay. Give the info area technical name. So technical name is nothing but a unique identifier. For every object we create in SAP, we give a technical name and some description. Okay, so I'll give the technical name. Usually it starts with Z. So the technical name starting with 0, any object with the technical name starting with 0, that is the standard SAP created object. You can use anything apart from 0. So mostly, the projects we use the naming convention starting with Z. Okay, so I'll create BW training underscore, let's say December. So BW training December. Now under this info area, so this is a folder which got created. Then inside a folder we can create as many folders as we want, right? So I'll say right click and then create info area, one more info area like a subfolder. I'll say ZMM. Okay, so let's say all the material management. So material management. So I have created an info area, then sub info area. Then let me create a catalog. Okay, so what is a catalog? Catalog is kind of a menu. So I need to create at least one catalog, one for characteristics and one for key figure. So I'll create one catalog for characteristics. Right click on the info area. Okay, and you will find an option create info object catalog. It's like a menu option. So right click and then click on info object catalog. So give the technical name of the info object catalog, okay, and description. So everything will have a technical name and description. So I'll give the technical name as ZMM underscore catalog for characteristics CC, something like that. Any name, just follow the naming convention for your project. So I'll say catalog for characteristics. So here choose the info object type as char. Now click on create. Okay, now currently the object is inactive, okay, and not executable. So every object has to be activated, then only a database runtime object would be created. So now here there is a button activate, so click on it. So activate the object. So now you can see the activation log, it's all green, so it's successfully activated. We created one catalog for characteristics. Okay, so let me create one more catalog for key figures. So under the catalog, then you will create the objects. So these are nothing but like a menu kind of thing. Right click and then create info object catalog. So I'll say ZMM underscore KF, meaning catalog for key figures. I'll change the radio button from char to key figure. Here, info object type, click on create and activate. Pretty simple. Okay, so then now let's create the info objects. If I want to create the info object, first of all you need to know what is the data type and length in your source system. So let's go to ECC table, MERA. Now let's say I want to create a info object in BW for this maintenance status. So every column in the table will become an info object in BW. So maintenance status, tell me it's a characteristic or a key figure. Product status or like yeah. Then I want to create an info object for material type, industry sector, material group, name of the person who created that object. So these are the fields I have. Now for these fields I want to create a info object. Okay, so now first info object I would like to create is for maintenance status. What is the data type and length of maintenance status? This is char 15. Okay, so let me create a info object. So go to BW. Now it's a characteristic, so select the catalog for characteristic and then right click and then say create info object. So right click and then go for option create info object. Now again it will ask you for a technical name and description. So anything you create, it will ask for a technical name. So now I'll create an info object. It is maintenance status, right? ZM underscore STS, just some name. Okay, then give some description. Material maintenance status. So what is reference template? We'll talk about them later. So click on continue. Now take everything default. Okay, we'll come to each and every tab, each and every field one by one in once we go through the sessions. Now the minimum thing what you need to define is the data type and length. Use the same data type and length as your source system field. What is the data type and length? Char 15. So exactly I'll use a char 15. Okay, now activate this particular object. Okay, click on the activate button. So you can see a background job will run and which will create some tables and some objects in the database. So currently the object status is active and executable. So you can see the status is green. Now I want to create another info object. So here you can directly use the option create, or you can directly go to catalog and then right click and say create info object. So let's create some more info objects. Then I want the next info object is material type. Same thing, give technical name, description, data type and length, and activate. So I'll say ZM type. Material type. Continue. So char 4. Activate. The next info object I would like to create is material group, which is char 9. So again I'll click on this button. So that is material group ZMGRP. I'll give some name. So material group. So that is char 9. And then activate info object. Okay. Then I want to create some date field. For example, here in this table I have something called created on date. Okay. Let's say that is a date. Now let me create a new info object. So that is also characteristic. Okay. So created on date Z. ZC ZC underscore date. So I'll give the description created on. Now choose the data type as date. Okay, give me 1 minute. Okay, so then on the created on date, give the data type as DATS. Okay, it will automatically take the length as 8, and now activate this particular info object. Okay, so you have any questions now? Even date is characteristic. Yeah, so date is a characteristic. That's right. So now we created this info objects. Okay. Now the next info object I would like to create is, let's say, industry sector. Okay. So that is char 1. So still I didn't create the So I'll create this particular info object industry sector as char 1. Okay. Now let me create a key figure. So the key figure is same. It's just that you have to select a different catalog. You have to select the catalog for key figures. Right click on this catalog and then click on create info object. Okay. So I'll say now let's see what is the which key figure is available in the master data table. So for example, material weight. Okay. So for example, if you see, you can see gross weight. So this is a quantity, right? Weight of the product. So that's a key figure. So now let me create a key figure. So I'll say Z material underscore weight. Gross weight of material. So it's a quantity field. So you have to choose the data type as quantity. Whenever we talk about quantity, there should be some associated unit. Let's say, for example, if you talk about salary, it will have the associated currency, right? Likewise, if you talk about quantity, it will have associated unit. So just I'll use a standard unit field here called 0 unit. And now activate this particular key figure as well. Okay. So now we created some characteristics and we created some key figures. Okay. Now just pay attention. So far it's same. Now while creating the primary key of the table, okay, we need to do something else, some additional activity. So what is the primary key of this table of MERA? Material number, right? So this is the key field. Now when I when I create a info object for the key field, then what we need to do is we need to add the rest of them as attributes of the key info object. So right click and then click on create info object, Z material number. So far same. The data type and length is char 18. So give the data type as char. So length as 18. Okay. The next thing what we need to do is in the attributes tab. Okay. Go to the attributes tab of the key info object. Okay. And then add the other info objects as attributes. So take the technical name of these info objects. I'll tell you why we are doing this. So take the technical name, for example, industry sector, just Control C, Control V here. Okay, copy paste. So maintenance status. Material type. Created on date, Control C, Control V. Press enter. If you want to add some more info objects like key figure you want to add, press enter. So we are saying that these are the material attributes, product attributes. Okay. Now after you define the attributes, activate the info object. Okay. What the system will do is system will create a table for us and the attributes for an info object. The system will automatically create a table. That table you will find it in the third tab, master data text. So this is the table which is automatically created. The naming convention of the table is automatically given as /BIC/P and your info object name. So this is a table which is automatically created by the system when you activate the info object. So just double click this table name. Now you will see a table is created in BW with material number as a primary key, and there is also one more called object version. So ignore this object version, we'll talk about that later. But material number is a key, and then you have the rest of the fields: industry sector, material group, maintenance status, etc. Okay, so now we have a table created in BW. This is the table which stores the material data, now material information. Now our task is to extract the data from the source table SAP ECC MERA and update this generated table in BW. Okay. Yeah. The next question is, what is the difference between master data table and view, right? So whenever we have, like, time dependent master data, like, based on the time, if some attributes change, for example, for an employee designation, you are storing the, now till yesterday he's a manager, and from today he's a senior manager. Then you want to maintain the time dependent master data, etc. Then there would be different tables created, and the view of those tables is this one, master data view. So we'll talk more about that when the actual scenario comes, but for now just focus on the master data table that has a naming convention /BIC/P and your info object name. Okay, and in this info object, in this table, this material number will be the key. So now a table is created in BW. The next task is to transfer the data from ECC and store in this BW table. Okay, so I'll not overload with a lot of information in the first session. We'll see how to create these info objects and how to do this data loading in the tomorrow session. So I know that you didn't get your access part so far, but just check with your training coordinator, and if you got your access, I'll give you an assignment. Assignment 1. create info objects for customer master data. Now the table where you can find the customer master data in ECC is KNA1. Okay, and then create some more info objects. I'll tell you which info objects, etc. Take randomly any info object, that's also fine. Okay, create info objects for vendor master data LFA1. Company code. Okay, so now you'll get used to these tables and then and the data field names, data type and length, etc. once you start doing this. Okay, so it's the same process for what we followed, but make sure you get accustomed with the source tables and the navigations, etc. Okay, so I'll keep today's session short, and from tomorrow we'll have 2.5 hours to 3 hour session with some break, and we have sessions only on the weekends, right? So we'll discuss some good amount of topics, and you'll have a lot of exercises to do by the time you come for the next session. Okay, and like I said in the previous sessions, most of the time we'll spend it on the server, and I'll give you a lot of real-time scenarios. That is the best part with BW. You can do a real hands-on project in the training server. You have all the content available, so that way you can do all the project scenarios within the training server. So from my side, I'll be overloading you with a lot of assignments. I mean, as long as you complete them and come back with questions, then I can give you more. So that is an assurance I can give you from my side to get you as many real-time scenarios as possible. Okay, the kind of the actual project scenarios. So any questions for today? Now, what are the characteristics and key figures for assignment? So just you can randomly take any fields. So make sure the primary key of the table is created. Okay, the other fields you can pick randomly, because this is just a first step, right? So then when we go for the actual reporting requirement, then we'll see which attribute, which master data is required for our report. Accordingly, we'll enhance that. So if you still don't have access till the next session, then that's fine. Take your time, and once you get your access, do your assignment, and then if you have any issues, you can post in the blog. You will get access to a blog. You post your questions there. I'll respond through the blog, and then if you still don't have a proper clarity with what we are discussing on the blog, then we'll discuss in the next session. Okay, so you do your assignments, post your questions there, I'll respond, and then in the next session I can review what you have done, and you can ask me questions, so we can keep it interactive. Yeah. So I mean, any question is fine. Nothing like basic or advanced. Okay. So yeah, please feel free to ask me any question. That's absolutely fine, Venkat. So you can ask me any basic question. That's fine. Okay. So if there is something which is not related to the topic which you are talking, we can discuss that at the end. But for sure, we'll cover all the questions. Yeah, I'll post the slide over the blog. Okay, so what I'll do is I will save this PPT in a Google Drive where the other materials are there, and you can access from there. Okay. So yeah, thanks everyone. If you don't have any questions, then we'll meet tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit our Vimeo page and follow for more upcoming videos.